Hello everyone, this is Dr. Hatami. In this video, we're going to talk about the scientific method, which is one of the important topic in biology courses. What is the science? Science is all about asking questions and finding answers using evidence. Scientists should always try to be objective, not subjective. What does it mean? Objective means being factual, looking at what the evidence actually shows, not what we feel or believe. For example, if you measure a person's heart rate after exercise, you record the numbers exactly as they are. Subjective means based on personal opinion or judgment, like saying, I think this person looks healthy. That's not scientific because it's based on feelings, not facts. So in science, we try to say objective. We rely on data, observation, and evidence, not personal opinions. So the scientific method is the step-by-step process scientists use to study and understand the world, including the human body. So in this short video, we are going through these steps together. What is the scientific method steps? So we are going to follow these steps. First one, observation, question, and doing some research. Second step, forming a hypothesis. Third, design an experiment. Then we need to collect the data. And then we are going to analyze the data. And then we are going to make conclusion and then scientific communication. So you have to know these steps by order. So what does it mean, observation, question, and research? Everything starts with curiosity. You notice something and want to know why or how it happens. For example, why do my muscles get sore after exercise? You notice that after exercising, your muscle gets sore, right? Okay, so then you have a question or you have an observation and then you are going to do some research by reading some something that other scientists discovered about the muscle soreness. And then you are going to form a hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? Hypothesis is an educated guess, which is a possible answer to your question. For example, after observing and then doing some research, you came up with this hypothesis. You say maybe muscles get sore because tiny tears form in the muscle fibers during exercise. And then to test your hypothesis, you are going to make an experiment, to design an experiment. So that is important, which going you to test your hypothesis, right? Okay, so you design an experiment. For example, you are going to have two groups, one group of people stretching before exercise, another group, they do not stretch before exercise. Then you're going to compare how sore they feel later. That is your experiment. Okay, and what should you do after that? It's important to record everything carefully, every measurement, every observation, because this is the evidence you'll use to see if your hypothesis is correct or not. So you're collecting your data, and after that, you have to analyze the data to see if you can support your hypothesis or not, right? Then after analyzing your data and come up with a result, you're going to do the conclusion. Now you decide what your result means. If your hypothesis was right, which is great. If it was wrong, that is still science. You learn something new. So it doesn't mean that always your hypothesis should be correct. Even you didn't get the correct or you couldn't actually support your hypothesis, that is a result. So then it's a time to communicate in your scientific culture. It means that scientist is going to share what they learn so that others can learn too, like by writing a report, publishing an article, giving a presentation, or post findings online. Okay, so that is these 7 steps of the scientific method that we can actually follow them by order from observation to the last one, which is scientific communication. Now let's try to understand these scientific method steps by this example. You observed that in your kitchen, molds tend to grow more rapidly on the bread slices that are left in a humid environment. So you notice something like mold in the bread in the humid environment. Okay? So it means that you observed something and then the question come up. Question says, does humidity affect the rate of mold growth on bread? So this is actually our first step. So you actually can do some research to form your hypothesis. So the next step would be hypothesis. In your hypothesis, you say, if bread slices are exposed to high humidity, then the rate of mold growth will increase compared to the bread slices kept in a dry environment. That is your hypothesis that you made it. According to the question, according to your researches that you did, and always the hypothesis comes with if and then. So this is a guess, but this is an educated guess because you researched before forming this hypothesis. Okay, so you're going to solve this problem by creating this hypothesis. If this and then that's gonna happen. Okay, what would be the next step? You have to see if your hypothesis is correct or not, right? So you're going to design an experiment. You're going to set up an experiment and you're going to have like 2 group of bread. Same size of the bread, same like similar condition except for humidity. You have group 1, which you're going to place your sample in a dry environment, and then the second one in wet environment. And you're going to compare the result. So then that is your experiment. You have the control group or group that it doesn't have the variable like humidity. And then the second one, which is your experimental group, you're going to place them in the wet environment. And what would be the next step? In this step, you're going to collect your data. After a period of time for both of your group, you're going to observe what has happened and you're going to document everything you found on your samples or groups. That is the step of collecting your data, and now it's time to analyze your data. Analyzing the data, you're going to find out whether there is a significant difference in the rate of mold growth between the humid and dry environment. So then you are going to make up a result to get a result, and then you are going to do conclusion in step 6 based on your analysis, based on your results. You are going to draw a conclusion regarding the impact of humidity on mold growth on bread. And what would be the last and final step? Scientific communication. You're going to communicate your findings by sharing your result to other people, as I mentioned, by posting them online, by reporting them, or publishing your result or as an article. So that would be all the steps that we need to do for a scientific method. Thank you so much for watching to this video.